in order to illustrate our points. Now, on last Friday, last Friday, the Prime Minister presented his budget, and I've developed this skill over the years because I started working for Theresa Tong about 10 years ago as his assistant. And every year on budget day, budget day is the only day that Parliament sits on a Friday. And I've developed this skill to carry all these heavy books for her. And now I carry this bag myself, and also with the help of my assistants. But I used to carry for Theresa Tong, and I carry all back to my home to read it. And finally, this is probably the first time I talk about budget. It was the second time. After 2007, we talked. I have developed this skill that after the Prime Minister reads or the Finance Minister reads the budget, I try to come up with one-liner. Came up with, I think I characterized the 2007 budget as, or 2008 budget as much ado about nothing. But this year, after an hour and a half, after the Prime Minister read about 60 pages of his, or 49 pages of his speech, I came up with this one-liner. Problems identified, problems clearly identified, solutions in vain. No solutions to the problems that he identified. On page 6 of his budget speech, he said this. The 2010 budget will be the foundation for the development of the new economic model and the formulations of the 10th plan. In tandem with the One Malaysia concept, the focus of this budget is the well-being of the rakyat and gives importance to the achievement of the NKRA, the National Key Results Areas. The budget, this is more important, the budget will also emphasize on advancing the role of the private sector as the driver of economic growth, developing high-skilled human capital, and enhancing the efficiency of the public service. The three key strategies of the budget: driving the nation towards a high-income economy. He wants to double the income. They say in 10 years' time, Malaysians will double their income, more than double. The second strategy is ensuring holistic and sustainable development. The third strategy is to focus on well-being of the rakyat. Now, I heard that and I thought, well, he got the right thing. And the whole budget identified a few key areas which I think is very important. High-income society. We are, as pointed out by Tony, by Guaneng, we are in this middle-income camp. So, very good. It talks about very low private investment. The private investment used to be in the region of 30%. Now private investment is about 10%, which has virtually collapsed if you take into consideration some of the private investment actually come from what they call GLCs. And we talk about urban poverty. In this budget, for the first time, the Federal Territory Ministry is renamed as the Ministry of Federal Territory and Urban Wellbeing. So he identified this. And in fact, the Prime Minister said that at the moment, 63% of the population lives in urban areas. 63% of the population live in urban areas, and there is an urgent need for the government to deal with urban poverty. And that is quite true. I always say this, and I continue to say this today, that on March 8, the X factor on March 8 was actually urban Malays. Before March 8, we saw the Chinese swing coming. We expected some swing among the Indians, but very few people saw the swing in votes among the Malays, among the urban Malays. And urban poverty is one of the key areas that resulted in disenchantment, dissatisfaction among urban lower middle class. Of course, regardless of race, but among urban Malays, there is a lot of difficulty, especially those who are in the lower income bracket. The Prime Minister talked about crime. Crime is a major issue. And the Prime Minister also talked about promoting public transport. Crime is one of the NKRA, one of the 6 NKRA. Public transport is one of the 6 National Key Result Areas, or KPI. But of course, there was once I was with Sukun, sitting in a table with Sukun, and someone said, Sukun, someone who knows Sukun very well, and someone who belongs to the Chongyu generation, Sukun, the most important KPI is in the vote, in the polling box. which is quite true. In other countries, the most important KPI, no one talks about KPI because in Parliament you are held accountable for every day for your action, and in the polling it shows that whether your policies is accepted by the people. Now these are the areas that where credit is due. I think the Prime Minister has identified clearly the problems that Malaysia as a nation or as an economy faces. But I would like to show you and walk you through some of the things that I've discovered from the Anggaran Perbelanjaan Persekutuan 2010 to show you that I believe, after listening to all this and after reading all this, I believe that we are still, Pakatan Rakyat is still within striking chance of winning federal government. Now let me walk you through. Can I have the PowerPoint? Now before I start, see, in budget, there's one very important idea that we have to bear in mind. There is no such thing as free lunch. Although Lim Guan Yin gives out free books, it's at someone's cost. There's no such thing as free lunch. When Tan Siew Sin was finance minister, there was once he tried to go overseas. He wanted a holiday. So he told Tunku he wanted a holiday, and he said, and then he asked the then Prime Minister Tunku Abdul Rahman, who will be acting finance minister? Tunku said, myself. Tunku happily wanted to be acting finance minister, and Tun Tan Siew Sin cancelled his holiday. Why? Before oil was discovered, every cent that the government spent will have to come through direct taxation, or most of the expenditure by the government will have to come through taxation, one form or another. And MCA at that point of time represent the interests of capitalists, Chinese capitalists mainly. And whenever the government spends some money, someone gets taxed. And that is the MCA constituency. That is the constituency the MCA represented, or Tun Tan Siew Sin represented. And because of that, there was a thriftiness in the running of the government before oil was discovered. But of course, oil was discovered, and we overspent over the last few decades, until this year, finally, someone has to pay for it through the real property gain tax, through the credit card that Tony mentioned about, and through many other measures. So every cent counts, and someone has to pay for whatever the government spends. Let me show you how the government runs the budget and why I believe that we are still within striking chance of winning federal power.